and this is fifth day of our presentation, cultural studies, and my topic is British culture materialism. What is cultural studies? It is hard to define a cultural study arising from the social turmoil of 1916. Cultural study is a composed of element of Marxism, post-structuralism, postmodernism, feminism, gender studies, anthropology, sociology, race, ethnic studies, film theory, urban studies, public policy, popular cultural studies, and post-colonial studies. Those fields that concentrate on a social and cultural forces that either create a community or cause a division and alienation. Five type of cultural studies. First is British culture materialism. Second, new historicism. Third, American multiculturalism. Fourth, postmodernism and popular culture. And fifth, post-colonial studies. British culture materialism. Culture materialism refers to Marxist orientation, new historicism, characterized by analysis of any historical material within the a politicized framework in a radical and subversive manner. Culture materialism emphasizes the study of historical context, looking at those historical aspects that have been described or silent in other narrative of histories. Thought an analytic theoretical approach backed by political commitment arising from the influence of Marxist and feminism perspective, and thus executed a textual analysis from reading that critique of traditional approaches, especially on a uh, canonical text. A cultural study is a culture materialism was orientated by Marxist theory, and some text which say about history, political event, or silent on the text. They are studying British culture materialism. Cultural study is referred to as a culture materialism in Britain, and it has a long tradition. In the later 19th century, Matthew Arnold sought to redefine the givens of British culture. Edward Bennett Taylor, pioneer anthropological studies, primitive culture, argue that culture or civilization taken in its wildest and anthropographic sense, it is complex whole which include a knowledge, belief, art, morals, law, custom, and any other capability and habits acquired by a man as a member of society. It is connected with humans who are connected with societies. Claude Levi-Strauss influenced a moved British thinker to assign a culture to primitive peoples, and they with the work of British scholar like Raymond Williams to attribute a culture to the working class as well as elite. Williams memorably states that there are no mass, there are only ways of seeing people as a mass. Britain have a true trajectory to see that British culture materialism first was going towards back and other trajectory was moving
Yeah, it seems there are spikes coming in StreamYard, so it is getting crashed.
Raymond Williams applauded that richness of colonial text such as Lewis promoted, but also found they could since erase certain communal forms of like inspired by Karl Marx. British theorists were also influenced by George Lucas, Theodore Adorno, Louis Althusser, Marx, Mikhail Durkheim, and Antonio Gramsci, they were especially interested in a problem of cultural hegemony and its a many system of domination related to literature. How the elite class dominated the literature also, not only the society, but they are also dominated a literature. For a Gramsci, an Italian Marxist, for example, they got a concept of cultural hedge fear that referring to the relation of domination not always visible as such. Williams noted that hegemony was a sense of reality for most people beyond which it is very difficult for a most member of society to move. But the people are not always victim of hegemony. They sometimes possess the power to change it. Culture materialism is engaged in a process of renewing our images of past, revisiting the past, the carry out this work to a different ends. New historicism aims to show that which era or period has its own conceptual ideological framework, that people of the past did not understand the concept like individual, God, reality, or gender in the same way that we do now. Culture materialism aims to show that our political and ideological system manipulate image texts of the past to serve their own interest, and that this image and text can be interpreted from the alternative and radical indifference perspective often constructed by places those image or text in their historical context. In the early era or historical early era or old age texts, we they are not studied like we are studying with gender role, with the class, with the God perspective, reality, individualism. We are study on nowadays we are study those texts. Althusser insisted that ideology was ultimately in the control of people, that they maintain a function of ideology to the reproduce the society exciting relationship of production, and that the function is even carried out in a literary text. And ideology must maintain in this state of affairs if the state and capitalism can continue to reproduce themselves. And also Althusser said that the popular culture merely connected with cultural ideology. We seen the example of Chetan Bhagat, a popular literature, but merely connected with a cultural ideology, and some Indian example who going to the past or British culture materialism going towards past in a power and male dominating society with the patriarchal structure make a decision for a woman with the absence of woman. And another example I was going about Manusmriti, and our Indian or I can say that our Hindu culture, we portrayed women as a in a patriarchal structure as an inferior, or a family are more superior, and especially male father, brother, husband are more superior than females. In the two श्लोक तस्मदेताः सदा पूज्यभूषणम् आच्छादन अशनेह भूति कामरे नरे नैर नित्य सत्करेषु उत्सवेषु च. Men who seek their own welfare should always honor on a woman on festival with gifts, ornaments, clothes, and a good food. Women always need something else, not only ornaments, cloth, and eating items, but our Hindu culture always portrayed that if a male giving something, then women always like that, like those things. And second slok, पितृभिरः भातृभिषः च एताः प्रतिभिर देवरेश देवरेशस तथा पूज्या भूषयित व्यास च बहुकल्याणम इष्प Ishpasubhisha. Women must be honored and adorned by their fathers, brother, husband, and brother-in-law who desire their own welfare. And also this law telling that a woman must be honored with all the males, no women's on that work citation. Thank you.
Yes, Mayuri, you have mentioned in your one slide, that is Raymond Williams quote, that is, there are no masses, there are only ways of seeing other people as masses. In which sense Raymond Williams has stated this, related to your presentation?
Raymond Williams said that quote on culture and society in a 1989. I think this was published, or it was related with uh, labor class and upper class or elite.
Yes, who is asking the next question?
Okay, Mayuri, Raymond Williams is considered to be a prominent figure of cultural studies. So, what was his general view towards the culture?
Raymond Williams' general idea about elite class contemporary event, which we show, but we never realized that it was connected with cultural studies. And another thing, like he was uh, I can say that he was a cover everything which around us on cultural studies. And another thing, he was telling that every text have their historical events and political side. But uh, earlier we never read that. But with the cultural study, we read those aspects.